Sarah Snell Cooke with the Credit Union Connection. Think of this, a credit union that didn't exist less than a month ago grew 400 members and $7 million in its first week of opening. No branches, no legacy systems, just a laser focus on user experience and financial wellness for a very niche industry. Yes, today I'm talking with Jeffrey Kendall, CEO at Nymbus, and Stephen Owen, who's wearing two hats now, CEO of both First Entertainment Credit Union and their shiny new digital credit union, CineFi. Yes, CineFi is exactly what it sounds like, a credit union built specifically to serve the entertainment industry, in this case in Atlanta, Georgia. First Entertainment watched as TV and movie business was migrating from California to Georgia, chasing nice film tax incentives. We're diving into why they went digital only with Nymbus instead of opening physical branches and how they're thinking about community engagement without a lobby. Ever wondered yourself? Let's check it out. Hello, welcome everyone. I am Sarah Snell Cooke, your host here at the Credit Union Connection. I am joined today by two lovely gentlemen. We have Jeffrey Kendall. Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely. Great to have you. And Stephen Owen, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Now, Stephen is the president and CEO at First Entertainment Credit Union and now CineFi, which we'll be talking about. Did I say that correctly? CineFi?
CineFi, perfect.
Cool, great. And Jeffrey is chairman and CEO of Nymbus. Why don't you start, Jeffrey, and tell us a little bit about yourself as well as the company.
Yeah, so I'm a career technologist and have the privilege of leading Nymbus. We're a core processing and digital banking company. And so we serve community credit unions and banks and fintechs as well. And our objective is to try to bring innovative technology to help our clients grow. Really, at the end of the day, what we're really most concerned about is being critical to their operations and being efficient. So that's our mission and objective.
Yep, sounds good for a tech company. And you, Stephen, tell us a little bit about your credit union.
So I'm the president and CEO of First Entertainment Credit Union based in Hollywood. We serve the entertainment sector, mainly the below-the-line people, the hardworking people of entertainment, grips, gaffers, set directors, makeup artists, hairstylists. We've been doing it for 60 years, and we've now opened up CineFi. CineFi is a new brand built on the Nymbus platform in a new geographic area for us, which is Atlanta, Georgia. There's been a huge migration of people to Atlanta over the last 15, 20 years, and we're excited to be now serving them as of January 12th in Atlanta, in and around Atlanta, the entertainment community there, which is really strong and really growing.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that as a former credit union DC reporter and kind of a wonk at one time. I was curious about like the charter. Like, did you have to do anything to change that to start with, or?
Yeah, as a state chartered credit union here in California, we had to go to California first, and then we had to go to Georgia's regulator as well and ask for permission to serve people in Georgia with CineFi. And so we did that last year. We have 8 counties in and around Atlanta that we can serve, which is probably about 60% of the metropolitan Atlanta area that we can now serve all those entertainment people that are based there.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we are seeing many TV shows and movies moving over to Georgia. I'm sure there's tax incentives and reasons for that. So I assume that's part of why you decided to do this. How was this expansion gone? Like, what was the planning to identify the need, I guess, to begin with? I think that's an important process too.
Sure. So, this journey started about 2.5 years ago, and we looked at our membership continued to migrate away from LA. They're moving to other locales, and as you mentioned earlier, Sarah, the tax incentives are what drive people to move away. Georgia, about 15 years ago, put in some pretty lucrative tax incentives to draw the movie and TV industry to Georgia. And so as we looked at that over the last couple of years about our own growth and our own opportunities for expansion, we looked at the data. And the data told us that a lot of our members we saw were going to Georgia. And we saw there's about 60 to 70,000 people in and around Atlanta that work in the film, TV, and entertainment business. And so that's what drove us to Georgia. We came up with the concept of geographic expansion with a new brand, and we went out to find a technology partner. And Nymbus has been tremendous and fantastic and they've helped us all on that journey for the last, say, 2 years or so. And we're in place today. We're live, and it's going incredibly well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So, Jeffrey, I imagine digital is obviously a less expensive way to serve these members, and knowing the industry that they're trying to reach is in particular the entertainment industry. Like, what are the kinds of things you were looking for as you were helping them build CineFi?
Yeah, so what I love about what First Entertainment and CineFi came to us from a concept and what they wanted to do was, I think they're at the forefront of where banking is going as a technology and as a strategy. And what I mean by that is, we are living in an environment where the mega banks and the mega FIs, they own 70% of the deposits in this country, within the top five probably. And the challenge is that they're very, very generic in their products and services. They're very, very broad in the communities and the people that they serve, but it's still at a high level, very commoditized, what I would say.
Mhm.
Credit unions, on the other hand, from the birthright of what credit unions have, is that they're focused around a particular mission, vision, or common cause. And that commonality around a cause or a particular type of member or particular geography has always served credit unions really well because it gave them a way to combat against generic and commoditized. But now more and more as mega banks go everywhere they want to go and digital and footprint and everything else, they have to find new ways to compete. So I see this as kind of a perfect example of how credit unions can use the original mission and vision of why they were established in the first place, but also become even more relevant by focusing on a specific market segment. And that's exactly what First Entertainment has done. And this is just a beautiful evolution of what their mission and vision is into another geography, a more modern, different brand that says something about this is a digital experience versus a branch experience. And they're creating optionality for the markets and their members. So, what a cool thing to be a part of. So, we've been really,
Yeah.
really excited about it.
Yeah, this is super innovative in the credit union space. And so, Stephen, you have anything to add to that, what Jeffrey just was talking about?
I would just say, when we look at, to Jeffrey's point, you look at credit unions in general, the three things that we have to deliver well are an experience to, give value back to members, be it connected to a community. And as Jeffrey mentioned, I mean, the film community is what we've known for 60 years. So we're not going outside of that. We're going to a different locale where people have migrated over time. And I think that's, again, the effectiveness of credit unions is to be able to pivot based on trends and changes in your membership. And so our members are moving to Georgia. CineFi is a digital only solution for them. But many of our members there and many of the people that live there, that's what they want. They want great value, they want a great experience, and they want to do it in a community that cares about them and understands them. And I think First Entertainment for many years has really understood the entertainment worker. They don't work 9 to 5 like most people. They don't make a regular paycheck. They have very volatile earnings, and so we've understood that, and we're going to do the same thing for CineFi there in Atlanta. And many of the people have told me down there that they've been waiting on us for like 20 years. There's been nobody in Georgia that is there to serve the entertainment community like CineFi will. Is we've been going down there for the last year and a half, and they're like, we can't wait till you get here because we've been waiting on you. So it's really
Mhm.
exciting.
For sure. And as you were mentioning, they don't work regular hours. So being able to manage their banking at 10 p.m. at night without
Yep.
meeting anybody else is certainly a great acknowledgement of who you're actually serving. And I like that your credit union is keeping that mission focused, centered. And so, Stephen, how are your members receiving it?
We've added, Jeffrey and I look at data every day about, the growth of CineFi in Georgia. It's doing incredibly well. We have, I think, over 400 members are
Mm.
already in like 3 weeks, and about a little over $7 million in deposits. So I would say it's being received incredibly well by that membership down there, and they're excited. And I think we're seeing it grow every single day. The way Nymbus has helped us architecture this, it's all done through the app. It's really simple, really intuitive, and it gives us the ability to scale really fast. And
Mm.
the fraud detection tools and all the things that Jeffrey and team have built as part of the Nymbus platform is now part of CineFi. It's just been incredible. And so,
Mm.
you have to balance risk management all the time. And I think they're doing a fantastic job of helping us make sure that we're picking up the members that we want, but also flagging those members that could be trying to do harm to the membership and the credit union.
Mm-hmm. And
And I would say the one thing that people sort of when you start a digital brand, and if you've sort of been used to a brick and mortar environment, the speed and velocity of fraud and bad actors, when you open it up to the world, you get more, people trying to come in, and so you have to work extra diligently to prevent, the bad guys from winning. And it's never 100%, and anybody who tells you otherwise is lying. But you do your best to keep up with it. So it's a challenge, but it's important work.
yeah, because the Korean market is kind of known for wanting to be there, boots on the ground, and you don't have anybody there. So,
Mhm.
what kind of things do you incorporate that are unique to helping the credit union serve this membership and do it with avoiding fraud, avoiding, other compliance risks or what have you?
Mhm.
I know it's that question for me, Sarah.
I was Jeffrey, whoever.
Oh, sorry. Go
Go
ahead,
first.
Jeffrey.
Yeah, no. I think, when it's interesting because when you build a new digital experience like this, one mistake that I think that people commonly make is if you're trying to create just another digital brand and another debit card and another, demand account, and that's it, and it's just got a cool logo and a nice debit card, it's probably not going to be all that successful. You have to really be able to articulate we are going to solve a problem for you, or we're going to do it in a way that's more convenient for you. So we always call it, what's the hook? If somebody
Mm,
comes with an idea for a new neobank digital credit union, et cetera, like this, what are you going to do that's different?
mm,
And this was really an exciting project for us because we obviously have the capabilities that are built into our platform, but CineFi and First Entertainment showed up as more of a development partner for us and had some ideas for things that they said, hey, this would be really good for members. We don't think anybody in the market has it. Would you guys build this for us? And so we built some
mm,
things together that we hadn't built before. And we did it specifically for this project and for this type of member. And so I'm super proud of that. And a lot of that had to do with financial wellness, being able to point them to understanding where they are in their journey with things like budgeting, goals, different incentives and rewards to leverage different capabilities within the platform. A lot of financial education. These are people that, they know the heck out of the entertainment industry and wake up and live that every single day, but maybe they don't, understand what the different options are available to them for financial products and things like that. And so we've done some really, really unique educational materials. And then one thing I think that was really unique, and I give all the credit to the First Entertainment team for coming up with this, was most banks and credit unions don't allow you to establish a relationship with the credit union or the bank before you have an account or a product. And what CineFi has done is they've opened it up and said, look, you can become belong to CineFi and have access to the good things, the content and other tools, et cetera, that CineFi provides, and you don't even have to open up a product yet. And so they're taking a more, I think, relationship-based approach to member acquisition here, which is, hey, let's start out by talking to you about what our value is, and then we'll show you what the products are that we can help you. And
mm.
that's thinking advanced, in my opinion, for anything that we see in the market. So we just thought that was really, really great of Stephen and team to have the courage to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Stephen, I mean, why is that your approach?
I think it's to be inclusive. I mean, what credit unions do is, we serve people, and the financial wellness and education. Financial wellness is it's to me it's an overused term. Everybody has some content out there. What we tried to do with Centify and what Jeffrey and team allowed us to do with Nimbus is to be able to build curated content specifically for people in entertainment and put
Mm,
that right into the app. And so you can do that for members. If you join the credit union, sure, you can get access to that. But to Jeffrey's point, we built this prospect portal where you don't have to join the credit. We want to do good things for that community because if we do good things for the community, they're going to tell other people. And we're a credit union and we do great things, they'll join. I mean, not everybody's going to join, but they can take that content. And so we're continuing to build that curated content on the app that anybody can use as long as you sign up for the prospect portal. It gives us an
mm.
opportunity to know who's there and we can actually talk to them and engage with them at times. But that was a huge part of what we wanted to do is give back to that community differently than maybe others have done it in the past.
Mhm. No, it's really, really interesting that you lead with that rather than the product because there's so many credit unions. You see it out there, X% rate, and that's all well and good. You do need to do some of that. But yeah, just starting with building that brand first, even it seems like that a lot of credit unions in the industry as a whole sometimes have missed. Um, so yeah, so I'm going to ask you again, Stephen, though. It sounds like you all were true development partners with Nymbus. And I think it's such a great thing having credit unions actually have input and to have a partner that is willing to listen and do what's going on. How was that relationship working together?
I think it was fantastic. I mean, and the way that Nimbus's mindset aligned really with ours about building something new and different. They never said no. What they said was, "We'll figure this out." And you've got to love that about working with anybody. Is it was never no. It was like, "We'll figure this out together." And with any big initiative like this, you go through ebbs and flows. You go through challenges. Jeffrey and I always kept an open line of communication. Our teams did as well. And I think that's probably one of the most successful things as part of this is working together. We had a delay here or there, but ultimately we were all focused on let's get this out to that constituent of people that we want to serve. Let's make sure it's really good before we do that. And so we had that agreement early on and through the process. And when we delivered it, I think we can both be incredibly proud in our organizations as well that we're delivering something to that community that we're really proud of.
Hmm.
I think it highlights what we've probably all had the experience of we want to be partners with our suppliers and as we've all had client vendor relationships and it's really easy to be like, oh, we're not a vendor, we're a partner. But I think that how you show up really demonstrates that. And for me, it's always been um, and I'll say this and me, it's slightly tongue in cheek, but like our best ideas come from our clients, right?
Hmm.
There's, they're the ones with the problems. They're the ones who are able to express like, we need something better here. We're not living their reality every single day. And so that becomes really important. And that co-development sort of
Hmm.
mindset was really good here. And I think also, you see this as more and more of a trend, and Nimbus is no different, but we have a QSO, and specifically, we have a number of credit unions who are investment partners with us. And so that
Hmm.
equity structure coming from credit unions is really, really important for us, primarily because it holds us accountable to our shareholders in more ways than one. Uh, it's not just about delivering the product there, but like I have an obligation to run a well-run company, and
Hmm.
I share in the success and the challenges that with my clients slash investors. And we were grateful that First Entertainment made a modest equity investment in the firm to really, really show that that's true. And so it's been really, really great for us.
Hmm. And so you work with both credit unions and banks, you said. I don't want to make this bank bashing at all. I'm just curious, though, what are the differences you see between the credit unions and the banks that you work with?
Yeah, so number one, I think that banks are starting to kind of figure out what credit unions have known for years, which is when you specialize somewhere, that it makes it easier to be effective instead of
Hmm.
trying to fight the big generic battle against the big mega banks. And so I think that they're figuring that out and seeing the opportunity there. I would say that there's a big opportunity right now because credit unions are starting to expand what products and services that they have a desire to offer into the market. So we see a lot of going into small business and corporate banking and things where credit unions they have products and they've participated, but it's just not been the focus. And
Hmm.
so some of those things we're seeing a lot of interest in from the credit union side as well. But yeah, I think banks are still a little bit, trying to figure out how do they think like a credit union and get smart about specialization.
Hmm. And I'll follow up too on something Jeffrey said with you, Stephen, about the specialization of this app. Why? I mean, again, it's less expensive, obviously, to probably sell somebody, serve an area geographically away from you, digitally, but also, how do you do it better? How do you do it in the way that they need it? How do you share your member needs with your business partner like Nimbus and really collaborate. I know you talked a lot back and forth, but yeah, sharing that vision with them. How do you deal with it?
I think it's first of all, Jeffrey and team are great listeners and understanding what we were trying to do. Um, Understanding that the creative community is, as I mentioned earlier, is very different than your typical people. They operate differently, they work differently, they live differently, and I think that again, we've have expertise of serving them for a long time. And CineFi was going to do that. I mean, we only have today a spend account and a savings account. We're going to expand that over time. So, we decided to go to the Georgia market. I mean, we don't have the laundry list of things that we have at First Entertainment in CineFi today, but we'll grow it over time. And Jeffrey and team, obviously, we worked on that timeline together to understand that. But to answer your question, it is about sharing your story of what you want to accomplish, and then for them to understand it, and then help us bring that to life. And I think that's been probably something that I was, working with technology partners for a long time. It's the best I've ever seen. They listened, they adapted. Again, they never said no. They said, we'll figure that out. And sometimes you have to come to an agreement that we can't have it quite what we envisioned at first, but we're going to have something similar to that.
Hmm.
And over time, maybe we'll get to the end state where we wanted to be. But I think you have to, in anything, you have to negotiate what's reasonable and what can be done in a time frame that you need to achieve. And I think Jeffrey and Nimbus have been, fantastic at delivering on that. So I think it's knowing who you are, what you're going to serve, and what you're going to bring to the table for them, and making sure you can articulate that to, for us, the creative professional in Georgia. And we're delivering that now. And again, we're going to expand that. Everybody comes to me now and says, "Hey, I want a loan." We don't have loans at CineFi today. We have them at First Entertainment, but we will have them soon enough, thanks to the work that we're doing with Nimbus to continue to build out the product set.
Hmm.
And
And
it's interesting. We just one little thing that I thought was maybe a coincidence and led to a better outcome for us. But we're very, very focused on making sure that all things are easy to use, that the experiences are great, and we all know in banking and this space that it's important to have good user experience, et cetera. But two things are interesting about this market. Number one, tough graders when it comes to the entertainment industry, right? You can't put out an app that's 10 years old to people who work on, animation and see the most beautiful products that come out, they're visually stunning. So there has to be like alignment with the experience to what they believe is good and high quality. And so that I believe has been a really, really fun part of this. I believe that the brand, the experience, everything is very, very well representative of that quality that they need. The second thing that was kind of more coincidental was our head of product management, a gentleman named Ed Gross. He's super passionate about being engaged with clients, and CineFi was no different. But Ed actually spent 15 years of his career as a 3D animator in the film industry prior to getting into banking and app design and everything. And just to see the sort of passion on our team of saying like, wow, we would really want to understand what they need, like and really build something that's special for this group and for this market. So
Mhm.
um, sometimes you can design things like that. Sometimes they're happy accidents, but that was a fun part of designing for this project in particular.
Yeah, serendipitous indeed. Um, and so, what's next for Cinefy?
I think for us, it's going to be continue to grow. We just launched less than a month ago in Atlanta. We want to see that grow. I think there's tremendous opportunities down there. There's the technology or the infrastructure they built down there is incredible. I think you're going to see it grow. But as I mentioned earlier, the tax incentives for the film and TV industry in particular move around. So
Mhm.
part of the ability to working with Nimbus and incentivize the brand is it can be agile and nimble based on where these things move. But and also, I mean, we're going to focus on Georgia for the next year at least because there's a burgeoning creative community down there. You've got, a big music industry down there. You've got a lot of content creation. You've got live events, arts and culture. All those things align to our mission of being, there to serve the entertainment people. And so, we've got our hands full in Georgia. I think we're very happy with the results thus far. We want to continue to see that grow, but I do see us being agile and nimble. And the technology and what CineFi has built can be moved to other cities and other locales based on the needs. And so you'll probably see us move to other locales. at liberty to say quite yet where we're going, but I do see growth opportunities in many other areas of the U.S. In the coming years.
Oh, shoot. I thought we were going to break some news here. No, I figured you'd be going other places. This would be really interesting model for other credit unions to follow as well. Uh, and Jeffrey, from your point of view, what's next for Nymbus? This was a
Yeah,
new
well,
project, but what's next for Nymbus?
yeah, well, I think specifically, for Nimbus and CineFi, there's some really, really cool opportunities that we're looking at together. Number one is as you start building, a body of members around a particular use case and a voice, our joy is engaging with that body and understanding more about like, hey, what else do you need? What can we build for you to make your life easier, to make this special? And you can take your best guess and design in a conference room, sort of your first draft of your idea. But if you don't sort of check that and check that and check that, you can end up with something suboptimal. So I'm super excited about having more and more people tell us what they want, which may sound a little snarky, but that's again, we sit here to serve the member, and unless you're focused on that 100%, you're going to come out with something not great. So
Yeah.
that's for us.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Sounds good. So, gentlemen, as we wrap up, I always allow my guests to have final thoughts. Who wants to go first?
I,
Stephen.
I'll
Yeah,
take
okay.
it unless Steve wants to go first. But I'm super appreciative of not only Steve and First Entertainment and the people who make bets on us in this way as a company, but I think he's doing important work, and these examples are important for the entire industry. I have the privilege of meeting and discussing, with interesting credit union leaders every single day. And I can tell you that there's a lot of common problems coming out with in terms of the survivability and how do we continue to be a movement? How do we continue to invest in this? This is the way you do it. This is the way you make interesting bets, not, super risky bets, but you make bets. And I think that if I had to say about the financial services industry in general, it's on the slower side when it comes to making new bets because of that risk balance. But when you figure it out, you can do great things. And so I'm super appreciative for this, not just for First Entertainment, but I think it's inspiring to the industry as a whole, and we need it to survive.
Love it. Love it. Stephen, take us home.
I would say that we would not be where we are with CineFi this quickly without Nymbus. We first embarked on this 2.5 years ago. We thought about trying to do it ourselves, and that would have been a long journey. When we came, when we engaged with Nymbus, a year and a half, 2 years ago, it was like we can get this to market rather rapidly. And I think to Jeffrey's point about, you've got to try new things and different things. And so lucky for me is I have a board of directors who's very progressive and thinks future forward. How do we continue to evolve and transform this credit union to serve the people of entertainment and the creative community well for many generations to come? I think you have to do endeavors like this. You have to take calculated risk. You have to try new things because if we all keep doing what we've been doing and expect a lot of different results, it's going to be pretty challenging. And so this is our endeavor to say, hey, let's take a big leap forward and try something new. What the future holds for us, I'm very optimistic and excited about that. But at the same time, we have to continue to pivot and be agile and nimble along the way in order to make sure that CineFi, First Entertainment, and quite frankly, the collective credit union community is safe and secure for the future.
Absolutely. From your mouth to their ears. Well, thank you all. I appreciate you having you today.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.